Helen, we got Bill and Bill tonight. Did you notice that?
I know, double bill, double thrill. Woo!
We're glad to be here.
I tell you, Bill Sibley, you and I have gotten to know each other a little bit over the last 6 or 8 months. You just simply coming and attending shows, and then you're so unassuming about the way you sold yourself, which is what really sold me about you. And then you come down here to play me some songs, and I liked every one of them. And you brought Bill with you, and he was a hoot. We had a good time. Damn, it's good to have you here.
Quite a guitar player, too.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, you're in for a treat tonight.
And for our listening audience, Bill Sibley, our feature tonight, is from Cleburn, Texas.
Yes.
And Bill Hudson, who is here to accompany him. You also from Cleburn?
No, live in Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
Not originally from there, but live there now. Lived there a long time.
Where originally?
El Paso.
Ooh, way
Far
out
away.
Yeah, it's a
Now,
long drive.
Bill, where were you born and raised?
Waxahachie. I was born in Waxahachie, but
That's
I
why
never
we
lived
like
here.
you.
yeah, I never
Dude.
lived here, but I lived close. My grandparents had a farm out between Venus and Maypearl called Griffith Switch. It was down at Griffith Switch, and there was a gin and a store down there, and we would move from there to my mother, and she lived in Dallas, so I was going back and forth. It was quite a transition to go between one and the other.
Oh,
you know.
I bet.
One we didn't have indoor toilets, and on the other one we had colored television.
Culture shock.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was kind of from one extreme to the other.
Wow. Well, when did you start writing and playing the guitar?
Well, I had a heart attack when I was 47. From
That's not good.
working and all of that, and a couple of years later, I started just picking up the guitar and did it for meditation. You know, I'd just go in my office and I'd play at the end of the day, and then all of a sudden, I guess I started getting better. People asked me to start playing with them, and I got such my voice is kind of strange, and I remember my wife. I was learning a Willie Nelson song or something. I don't remember what it was. But she told me one time, she said, "Quit trying to sound like everybody else." She said, "That sounds terrible." I mean, my wife is blunt, let me tell you. Okay. And it really hurt my feelings. But she didn't mean to hurt me.
May have been an eye-opener, though.
Yeah, and what happened, I quit playing for about, 3 months, just put it down. I said, I'm no good. And then when I picked it up, I just started playing songs and singing them the way that I do it.
Right.
And that's so true, is you just have to be yourself. And heard Steve Seskin say one time, he said, "Be yourself, because everybody else is taken."
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what I have to do. Is that's all you can do, is be who you are.
I guess the guitar was your gateway to writing. What kind of hit you and said, "Hey, I can write songs"?
Well, it was about a little over a year and a half ago now. Me and a friend of mine that we play in the Rio Vista Social Club, he writes songs.
And his name is?
Peter Pope.
Okay.
And we were sitting there at his house and was listening to Bob Dylan. And I'm sitting there, and how you listen to Bob Dylan, you start listening to the words, and you go, and I'm thinking, man, that guy writes with no fear.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when he writes, you can tell that he don't care what, he's not writing for people to listen to it. He's writing because that's the way he feels. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I'm going to write a song. And I wrote a song, and I played it out, and people liked it, and so I just kept writing and writing and writing. And now if I write about once a month, because I'm so busy that it's hard for me to get into the place to write, but I've wrote about 20 songs now.
So you're disciplined enough to sit down and say, "Okay, I'm going to write a song today," and you can write a song doing that?
No, the way I do it is I start playing songs that I like, or just start doodling around on the guitar, and I have to play sometimes for about an hour, and then it just comes out like instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I write a whole song probably after it starts coming out. I'll write a whole song in an hour.
You have to, my grandmother would say, prime the pump.
Yeah, I have to get in that place, and once I get in that place, then I'm there, but...
Yeah.
But
it's a zone.
Yeah, it just comes on, and it's like, and when as I'm learning the song, sometimes I have to learn the song after I write it, and and as I'm learning it, I change it a little bit. Hear a word here and a word there, but
Right.
basically most of it comes out all at one time.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, who do you think might have been your big influences as a writer? Now, you mentioned Dylan. Who would maybe be another 2 or 3 people that you look up to as songwriters?
Well, the music I like all kinds of music. I mean, I like country. I like Delbert McClinton is one of my favorites, and some of his style comes out in some of my songs. It's kind of edgy, feeling, and Bob Dylan and James Taylor and all them. I've always really liked that kind of music, but I like all kinds. I've always liked all kinds of music, and I've always had a feeling my whole life that I wasn't doing something, and when I wrote my first song, I realized right then that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that release?
I knew it. I knew it right then. I mean, I don't know how good I am or anything, but it's a way of expressing myself that I've never been able to do.
I've had the pleasure of listening to a lot of more than good songwriters, great songwriters, and I think you're going to fit right in. You've got your own little thing going on. I said, when you and I were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you had just done a show with Guthrie, Helen.
Yeah, yep.
With Guthrie, and we love Guthrie, and I think he's a fan of what we do, and we're a fan of what he does. And I can certainly see the symbiotic nature. But there's somebody else I hear. Now, this is just from us getting together the last time. But you may not know it, but I think John Fogerty may influence.
Oh, yeah, John Fogerty, yeah, he definitely.
I hear that in 2 or 3 of your songs where you get a riff, you get a feel going.
Yeah.
And when you get Bill's guitar over here, and this is Bill Hudson I'm talking to now, when you throw in Bill's guitar, all of a sudden you've got something that's real magical, that every songwriter loves to have somebody that can interpret their music a little better and make their songs richer. And Bill, as we're going to prove to you here in a little while when you listen to the song set, Bill does just that. Bill, let's visit with Bill for a minute here too.
Okay.
El Paso, what was that like growing up out there?
Oh, dry. Actually, it was kind of different back in those days. You had the Air Force Base going. You had B-52s flying. You had the big smokestacks with the Sarco refinery. If you can imagine smelling that sulfur in the air all the time, back in those days. And I remember that. Like, my father passed away when I was not even 2 years old, and so I kind of grew up living with my grandfather and my mother. And then when I turned 9 and a half or so, we moved to another house, and then my mother remarried. And so my father today, my stepfather, I kind of refer to him more as my father.
I understand.
Right.
And, I don't know. I wasn't a very good athlete in school, and, I wasn't really popular like, a lot of people were. And so, my mother started out giving me piano lessons, and this is back in the pre-CPS days where the piano teacher had a fly swatter. And, so I didn't like that. I didn't like that too much. And so February of 1964, I'm sitting there wondering what all this hubbub is on TV. I'd seen these guys. I thought they were comedians or something, like the Ritz Brothers. I didn't know what these guys were. Are they musicians? What are they? And so they come on with these guitars and everything, and wow. I mean, that kind of changed me.
It
That would
changed
be the
a lot of
Beatles.
people.
Big
Yeah.
time.
Changed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Helen, it changed dramatically because she was still in the womb at the time, and she is a huge Beatle fan.
Yeah. But it was funny because when I was a teenager riding around, I would stick an 8-track in of the Beatles, and I loved it. My friends were like, "What the hell are you listening to?" And I'm like, "The best band that ever lived. Y'all got to hear this." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So, not everybody my age embraced that as much as I did, but
Yeah.
Bill, and back to Bill Hudson here for a minute. What you just described, everybody that's in this room, Gene Barber I'm talking about in particular here too, and Helen, because we've heard so many times people either in their songs or in stories we'll talk about that night.
Yeah.
And it changed things. To me, I kind of looked at it as we had just gone through the real depressive period after the Kennedy assassination,
Right.
just a few months before, and then all of a sudden here are these four guys that just lifted everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, the timing was incredible, the way they came on the scene.
Yeah, now you were still in El Paso at that time?
Yeah. Yeah.
At what point in time did you migrate eastward?
I transferred to SMU after my freshman year in college. I was at UTEP, and my father was a history professor there. And so, it was time to get out of Dodge. Almost everybody else had. And, so the school I could get into was SMU. You make at least a C average in your freshman year and score a minimum score on your SAT, then, you're in. So that's kind of how I got in. That was 1970. Then I would go back for the summers a couple of times, and I finally just stayed. And
So when did you find the guitar, being that you were having your hands slapped on the piano?
well, when the Beatles came out,
That's when you
I got
decided,
real
yeah.
interested, and
Okay.
I had taken guitar lessons, but playing songs like "Home on the Range" and "Camptown Races" and stuff like
Right.
that, it wasn't the same thing. And
Yeah.
I kind of became self-taught from that point on, and I'd get with friends that knew how to play some, and then we'd kind of teach each other. And somebody learned a B minor chord, and they'd show it to me. Wow, and
Yeah.
Open
kind of
doors, right?
did it like that.
Was
Well,
it
you
Paul-
definitely highlight Bill Sibley's music beautifully
Oh, yeah.
on the sound check. Listening to that, I mean, great partner to have to play with you.
Yes, and it's really good because I trust you. It's nice to have somebody that you can trust.
Absolutely.
And when we do a new song or something, I'd send it to him, and he does his magic with it, and it's just nice to have somebody to trust, and it's like I tell him all the time, I don't want nobody else playing lead guitar on my songs, because you're the one that puts what I'm trying to convey out to, so.
He had a song. He'll have an idea of what he wants on the instrumentally on a song like on "Stars Are in Your Eyes." He said, "I'm thinking of something Gary Moore would play on a song. I don't want anything just shredding, but I want kind of a style of Gary Moore."
Taste for blues.
So, I kind of reviewed a couple of his songs and tried something out. It kind of came out that way, but not exactly. It was a little more Santana-like in some places, but, wasn't really deliberate. It just kind of turned out that way.
But it really turned out really good.
Yeah.
We're going to get to hear you guys. Y'all going to do 10 songs for us here in just a few minutes. Bill Sibley, where would you like to be with your music 5 years from now?
For me, I've been, I'm 60 years old.
You're 60 years young.
Yeah, 6 years young. And it's really the important thing to me is reaching other people, and it's kind of like this to me. A couple of weeks ago, I'd sent a lady, her mama had died, and I sent her one of my songs that I wrote about my mom, and I sent it to her, and she, about 3 or 4 days later, she sent me a message back, and she said, I hope you don't mind. I've never met this lady. She said, I hope you don't mind, but we played that song at my mother's memorial.
Oh, how wonderful.
And I said, ma'am, not only do I not mind, I'm honored.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's what music means to me. It's how you can touch somebody else with what I'm trying to do,
Right.
And as long as I can do that, I think I'm getting better at songwriting. I think I'm getting, because I've been doing it almost a little over a year and a half now. And I think I'm starting to get a little bit better at it.
I think you're really good for only doing it a year and a half. I think you're excellent. And we're going to prove that here in just a minute.
Yeah.
More than anything, we need to welcome you guys to the tribe. Okay?
That's right.
Thank you.
It's a blood oath from here on out. Once you're in the music room, you're a part of this. Okay? We're all in this together. We want to thank you guys so much for coming down tonight and telling us a little bit about you And we look forward to the next visit as well, where we can learn even more. What do you think, Miss Helen?
I think it's time to hear some great music.
Me too. Me too. We'll see y'all in a minute.
Thank you.